Vietnam plays a very important attention to the empowerment women in politics. So we have a lot of policy to encourage women to participate in politics so far, and I think Vietnam has also the very significant stride in women's policy, and the ratio of women is the women of female deputies in our National Assembly. This legislature is 27.2%. It increased by 0.2% comparing to the last legislature. Even though we set the targets, to reach the 35% or at least 30%, but finally we got only 27.2. But I think ranking to others countries in the world, we have quite a positive ranking and one of the top national countries in Southeast Asia to have the high percentage of women in parliaments, and for the first time in the last 70 years, we have the first female president of the National Assembly, and the first vice president of the National Assembly also a female. And we have the in the state we have vice president of the state who is the female as well, and the members of Politburo is the most important political organization in Vietnam, and we have total 17 members of Politburo, and among those three are women. So this is almost 25 more than 20%. Is a very high percentage of women in leaderships. In Parliament, we have also 27.2% of women, but the chairmen of the different committees also the are women, like the Committee for Social Welfare, Committee for Law, and committees for citizen complaints. So we are very proud, to have such the numbers of women who keep the leaders' position in Parliament as well. I must say that we have, the very strict policy to set the targets for women in politics in different organization and field as well, and we have the quota policy. So we have, for example, as I mentioned earlier, that we set the targets. At least 1/3 of members of parliament must be, women. However, when we set the quota, it not means that women have easier opportunity to become the politician or to join the politics. It depends also on their competence, qualification as well. So when we set the quota, it means that we open the opportunities for women to participate in politics, and we elect the men to think about that, and to create the favorable conditions for women. But then the quota works only when we have two candidates, men and women, have the same qualifications, and then if you are the woman, then you will have the better chance. So I think the mandatory quotas, to encourage women in politics is the one very good solution, is at least in the case of Vietnam. And other things, we have the strong support from the women associations, Vietnamese Association Women as well. This is the non-governmental organization, but work very actively to promote for the women both in the central and rural areas. We have the branch of women association from the center to the grassroots level. And for example, during my campaign, they are very actively, to come in every household, to come, to make, like an advertisement for gender equality, to attract, the attention of people to have more women in politics. So I think it's not, It's not like the single policy or single, yeah, one can do. But this is, in my country, it's like the collective, efforts with the whole, the concentration of the government and people. So far, we are quite happy with the, with the achievement that we've got. I think, firstly, um, due to the specific cultural, historical, and development circumstances in each country, and the perception of the people are not sufficient. The misconception about the gender equality, the policy towards women and men, and women contribution in political and spiritual life. And I think the second challenge is the development conditions of each country have profound effects on the participation of women. And in many underdeveloped countries, women are unaware of their roles, position, interests, and are not willing to fight for the rights of women in society by themselves. And third, an unhealthy working environment makes women reluctant to participate in politics, where which is to be usually to be dominated by men. And the problem of violence and abuse against women continue to affect the quality and psychology of women in politics as well.